to math lesson number 8, Introduction to Geometry. We'll begin with perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around. And we'll start with this figure, a length of 8 and a width of 5. So if we want to draw that, we can make this length 8. And you can draw this too. Yours will look prettier than mine. The students' drawings always do look prettier than mine. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The squares should be exactly the same dimensions. Yours might be. So the length is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The width is 5. And of course, when this side is 8, the other side is 8 also. When this side is 5 wide, the other side is 5 also. So in geometry, we use the first letter of the word in the formulas. You should memorize formulas, common formulas. Now, geometry is something that you really will use. If you're going to paint a room, you want to know how much paint to buy, and it will say on the can how many square feet that can of paint will cover. So you'll use geometry also if you ever lay tile or carpet. You'll be using geometry. Perimeter means the distance around. So the formula is perimeter equals length plus width plus length plus width. That's the distance around. So at this point, what we need to do is rewrite that formula, substituting these numbers for those letters. So P equals, where it says L, we put an 8 because L is 8. Then there's a plus sign. Where it says W, W is 5, we'll put in 5. Where it says L again, L is still 8. And there's another plus sign, and width is still 5. So 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5, the distance around. Then the last step is we perform the operation. 8 plus 5 is 13. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 and 13 is 26. And if you drew this, if you count those, you'll come out to exactly 26. That's the distance around. That's perimeter. There is a second formula for perimeter too. It gives you exactly the same answer. Perimeter equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And it'll come out the same. So that one would look like this. Perimeter equals 2. Now when there's nothing in between, that means multiply. And that's true both in geometry and in algebra that we'll get to before very long. Nothing in between means multiply. For example, 3x means 3 times x. 2L means 2 times the length. And you want to be aware that the little l always looks like a 1. And it will look like a 1 on tests also. But you'll know that it says 2L because it makes no sense if it's 21. So that's 2 times the length. Perimeter equals 2 times 8, because 8 is the length, plus 2 times 5, because 5 is the width. Now we perform the operations. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 2 times 5 is 10. And we have 16 plus 10, which is 26. And of course, that's what we got with the other formula. And if you count them, you will get 26. Now we may want not the distance around, but what's inside it. How many square units are inside there? So this one you can draw is, we'll say 5 long, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the width is 4. So this is 5, and this is 4. Length, width. And we don't want the distance around. We want how many squares. You can count them, and they'll come out the same as the formula. The formula is length times width. Length is 5, width is 4. Area, therefore, equals 5 times 4. Area equals 20, and that's SQ. Square units. They could be inches, feet, yards, centimeters. They could be miles, acres, but whatever they are, this formula works. And it's easy to count these and see that it comes out to 20 square units. If you have a big field, a big farm, you don't want to count how many squares. You want to just get the length and the width. And when you paint your walls, you want to measure the length of that wall, and then the height of that wall, that's like width, and then multiply the length times the height. That will give you how many square feet on that wall. And you'll know when you add all the walls together how much paint you need to buy. It tells on the can how many square feet it covers. Okay, now we might want not the flat surface. You see, this is plane geometry. That's P-L-A-N-E, because it's flat. It's a plane. These are flat. Now, if we're going to add a third dimension, which is height, if you're here looking up, if you're on the bottom of a swimming pool, it would be height. But if you're on the top of the swimming pool, it would be depth. It's the same thing. So that would be like adding another dimension here. So it's called solid geometry. It's not actually solid. It's probably hollow inside, but it's called solid geometry. If you build a storage shed in your backyard, you want to know the volume. You want to know if you have 1 foot cubic boxes. Cubic is like an ice cube if it's one that's square. You want to know how many boxes would fit in your storage building. So the formula for volume is volume equals length times width times height. With this would not be actually a storage building. That would be more of a storage box, maybe. We would write it this way. Volume equals length is 5. Nothing means times. Width is 4. Nothing means times. Height is 2. So volume equals 5 times 4 is 20, times 2 would be 40. So in that situation, you could put in 40 things that were cubes of that same dimension. Might be feet, probably. 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot boxes. And that would be called a cube. So a square is the same on all 4 sides. So when you find the area of a square, you don't have to say length times width, because the length is the width. When you find the area of a square, you just say any side squared. This is an exponent. It does not mean multiply by 2 unless the side is 2. It means multiply by itself. So area equals, in this case, we'll say we have a square that's 4 by 4 by 4, 4 by 4. You just do 4 squared. That means multiply 4 by 4. Area equals 4 times 4 is 16, and that's square units. With volume, this is a container that has sides of 5 feet in every direction. Length, width, and height are all 5 feet. One little mark means feet. 2 little marks mean inches. So with this, volume equals 5 times 5 times 5. You're multiplying here twice. You're always multiplying 1 time less than the exponent says. This exponent is 3, which says cubed. You multiply twice. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 25 is 125, and that's cubic units, CU. And it's good to think of what type of units, whether it's square units or cubic units, because if you're taking a test that has a lot of word problems and you're trying to figure out which formula to use, and you look at the answers, and you have probably 5 answer choices, and they're all in cubic units, then you know you don't want perimeter and you don't want area, you need volume. So pay attention to how the answers are listed. If the answers are listed in square units, you know it's going to be a formula for area. If it doesn't say square or cubic in the answers, then that answer is going to be linear measurement, and that's going to be the distance around. That's going to be the perimeter. So if you pay attention to the answer choices and you're aware of square units and cubic units, that can help you decide which formula to use. And that takes care of perimeter, area, and volume.